The third and final part of my 100% playthrough of Stardew Valley Expanded is here. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, in this video you will see me 100% this amazing mod pack. Side note, this is the third part of this series, so if you haven't seen the other videos, I highly recommend you check those out first. Those videos are linked in the description. That being said though, there's still a ton of fish to catch, recipes to craft, and quests to complete. So we'll get right into it after a quick word from this video's sponsor, me. This video won't have a single mid-roll ad in it, so all I ask is that you subscribe to the channel and enable notifications, and absolutely obliterate the like button on this video. Doing both of those things really helps out with the engagement metrics and lets me know that you want to see more Stardew Valley. Also, if you could leave a comment letting me know what video I should make next, that would be amazing. Between you and me, I'm running out of ideas. Alright, shameless self-advertising over, let's get into the final 100 days of Stardew Expanded. Day 201 begins on Ginger Island, accepting a request for 1 iridium bar from Magnus, before running back to Pelican Town to plop down some more kegs in the greenhouse shed. I got some stunted trees fertilized, then made my way up to the train station, where I found another stone of Yoba. Up at the summit, I foraged some Stardew Expanded flowers like the Thistle and Winter Star Rose, before making my first trip to Scarlet's hometown of Pondwood. Now that Scarlet's a giftable NPC, that's another friend I need to make. I spent the evening at Gus's saloon, initially by having a drink and some chit-chat with Olivia, then drinking in solitude on the house thanks to Emily. I then put a cap on day 201 by planting and watering some powder melon seeds. The morning of day 202 starts at Magnus's tower, completing the request I got yesterday, then running over to Clint's workshop to pick up my copper trash can and making my deposit for the steel trash can. Utilizing the mythical power of the Dewdrop Berry, I spent the remainder of the day in the Skull Cavern, looking for prismatic shards for the key quest I picked up a week ago. On floor 35, I broke open a couple of loot barrels, and finally found the lucky ring that I've been searching for. The other highlights of this spelunking session are all finding prismatic shards. I found one on floor 53, another on floor 90, and then the third and final prismatic shard I needed on floor 94 to end the day. I got the ice fishing competition reminder letter to start day 203, which is super important considering I forgot to attend it last year. I spent the morning getting my heavy smelters fired up with ore from yesterday's mining session, then decided to return jade to my crystallariums since those Galderin gems have no purpose outside the fact that they're expensive. I dropped off the 4 prismatic shards I've collected to complete Key's quest, and then purchased the bluegrass starter recipe as my reward. Pierre was soaking up some rays at the island resort before being added to my list of best friends, and then I went up to the volcano caldera to forge my burglar's ring and lucky ring together. Over at Calico Desert, I chopped down some trees before running into Abigail, who's just chilling at the cemetery. Gus got himself a lobster to complete a quest, then I finished the day by crafting almost 3 dozen kegs and expanding my keg farm in the quarry. As I went to rest my eyes for the evening, Claire asked if we should have a kid, and of course, I said yes so I could get the full house achievement. An outfit change is required after I dug up this artifact spot revealing a toga to start day 204. A handful of monster crops are ready for harvest, so that Voidroot is plucked up before I ran over to Aurora Vineyard to attend Apple's party, which he had to cancel since no one showed up. But as soon as I left, it looked like some attendees had arrived in the form of a bear. I went back to Calico Desert and picked up another best friend by giving Sandy a daffodil, then headed on down to Cindersap Forest to start the ice fishing competition. With 6 stinky fish in my pockets, I got myself the W and picked up the chocolate truffle bar recipe from the traveling trader to end the day. Day 205 is a wine day, so I spent the morning harvesting some ancient fruit in the shed greenhouse before taking a break with Susan, enjoying some hot cocoa. As I was leaving, I ran into Alex having a nice jaunt up to the train station, then ran down to the special request board to accept Sophia's fairy garden quest, which is quite the doozy, especially on the 9th day of winter. I ran over to Clint's to pick up my steel trash can, then took the boat over to Key's Walnut Room to accept another iteration of the Skull Cavern Invasion quest. Back in Pelican Town, I collected the readied ancient fruit wine and repopulated the kegs at the quarry, then finished the day off at the tree farm, slapping on some tappers. I kicked off day 206 in the Forbidden Maze, starting the long journey of befriending the Goblin Henchman. Over at Clint's, I got him working on the golden trash can upgrade, picked up an albacore from Krobus, then played a co-op game of Prairie King with Abigail at the saloon. I gave Gus that albacore to complete a quest, then went over to Marnie's to purchase more animals, starting with 2 rabbits named Shrinker and Tinker, then my first ever blue chicken, who's aptly named Bluey. I checked in on our newest farm members, then spent the remainder of the day doing an uneventful Skull Caverns run. The bookseller is in town on day 207, so I picked up the Queen of Sauce cookbook and learned 3 recipes, so I essentially spent 16,000 G per recipe, so that's fun for me. Over at the greenhouse, I picked up some salal berries and slime berries, then went down to talk to Krobus and pick up another new best friend. With everyone's favorite shadowy boy at 10 hearts, I was able to purchase another recipe for Void Delight. I grabbed some aged wine from the Blue Moon Vineyard, then went to Skull Cavern to utilize a Dewdrop Berry plus the alcohol to have a +9 luck buff, which resulted in a pretty disappointing dive considering all those resources I used. I gave Claire an energy tonic to start day 208, and my gift in return was the 6th and penultimate star drop to raise my energy another 34 points. After chopping down some lumber in the Calico Desert, I made my way over to Pierre's to purchase 60 fairy seeds before running over to the cavern in the highlands to search for some natural fairy stones. I got 50 of those seeds and 1 stone dropped in Sophia's chest, then went over to the greenhouse to replace the salal bushes with those fairy seeds to make the fairy dust needed for Sophia's quest. I finished the day off at Ginger Island, first getting the reaching perk on my watering can, then putting a cap on the day by collecting some taro root and golden walnuts. Willie sent me a request for a lean cod in the mail to start day 209, and the day begins in earnest by shaking down my first crop of bananas in the greenhouse. Over at Clint's, I picked up my golden trash can and got him working on the final iridium upgrade, before cracking open some geodes in the hopes of grabbing more fairy stones. After checking out Andy's finished cellar, he gave me his special strawberry jam recipe that increases strawberry sale price by 25%. And then I spent the remainder of the day making some void mayonnaise and setting up a spot for a workbench crafting area. I finally started making some headway with the raccoons to start day 210 by giving him a handful of crawfish before getting some very cute cutscenes about Leo's fabulous new life in Pelican Town. I got electrocuted by Maru's robot, purchased the workbench from Robin, then got the final house upgrade paid for. That afternoon, I went down to Calico Desert to purchase a bunch of staircases and started making my way down through the Skull Cavern to complete Key's invasion quest. I got another auto petter on a treasure floor, ran into this mega slime on floor 52 that dropped 2 galaxy souls, and used my remaining staircases to make it all the way down to floor 100 and complete the quest. I got that auto petter plopped down in the barn, purchased another auto grabber from Marnie and got that placed down, before running over to the Adventurers Guild to purchase the Galaxy Hammer to end the day. On day 211, I became best friends with the local bird boy, then watched on as a dog off its leash whipped the citizens of Pinewood into a frenzy. I made another new friend over at Jody's by giving Kent a rabbit's foot, accepted Linus's community cleanup special request, and ran down to the night market traveling trader and grabbed myself a cool new hat. The remainder of the day was spent at level 100 in the mines, fishing up as much trash as I could. I began day 212 at the workbench, crafting over a dozen new kegs, before running over to day 2 of the night market to catch a red mullet for the raccoon. I made my way over to Ginger Island to harvest some ancient fruit, then made the massive mistake of accepting the Junimo Cart key quest. I grabbed the Hopper crafting recipe and exchanged some walnuts for key gems, and finished my time on Ginger Island by fusing my newly purchased hammer with 3 galaxy souls to get the Infinity Gavel and Infinite Power achievement. Tuesdays are kegging days, so I spent the evening expanding my keg farm, getting a bunch of ancient fruit fermenting, then made my way to the saloon to play some Junimo Kart. No, it was right there! I was right there, dude. That was the win. As you can tell by the pained and frankly pitiful tone of my voice, I was straight up not having a good time. I played Junimo Kart for about 1 hour and could not get 50,000 points, so if you value your sanity, don't play Junimo Kart. Robin finished the 3rd house upgrade overnight, so I start day 213 in my new cellar, which I'm actually going to use this time around. Today I realized that I sowed the wrong seed for Lance's monster crop quest, so I got the fungus seed planted with some hyper speed grow, then ran over to the raccoon to give him the red mullet I smoked overnight to complete my first bundle with him. Over in the secret woods, I brought some maple syrup for my bear friend, ran over to Clint's to pick up my iridium trash can, then became best friends with Abigail at the library. I found Apples and Peaches doing some type of friendship ritual, and spent the remainder of the day at the Volcano Dungeon collecting dragon teeth. It looks like Shane is my secret friend for this year's Feast of the Winter Star, and I get day 214 started by running over to the Highland Cavern to find some more fairy stones. I got the final stones I needed deposited into Sophia's chest, then ran down to floor 100 of the mines to fish up all the trash I needed to complete Linus' community cleanup special request. I spent the remainder of the day attempting and failing to get 50,000 points in Jinimo Cart, which is slowly driving me insane. I've got the recipe for fiber seeds and a gold bar in my mailbox to start day 215, and then it's over to Gus's saloon to complete a quest by giving him one coconut. As I attempted to go into Marnie's, the bear let me know that a premium barn would allow me to adopt some of his friends as part of my farm family. But that's a quest for another day, as the end of day 215 is earmarked for getting the Artful Enchant on my Infinity Gavel. Martin sent me some mail to start day 216 that has the grilled cheese recipe inside of it. My second crop of monster fruit are ready to be side down in the greenhouse, then I finally decided to finish Willie's request for the lingcod by catching it up and gifting it to our sailor friend. I found Linus enjoying a quick cold plunge at the mountain lake before running over to the Crimson Badlands, where I found this quarry filled to the brim with iridium nodes, teeming with dangerous monsters. What I was really looking for was further south, guarded by another group of strong monsters. This neat treasure cave that an eerie voice praised me for finding. I ended the day here by shoving a prismatic shard in the large chest and getting the galaxy slingshot. Marlon woke me up to start day 217 to invite me to a very important meeting at the Adventurers Guild, which I'll attend some other day. At the greenhouse, I shook off the final banana I needed to run over to Magnus's house and purchase the last obelisk on offer, the Island Obelisk. Up at the mines, I became best friends with the dwarf, then ran down to the library where I learned that Martin is adopted. To finish the day off, I chopped down some trees at Calico Desert and got all my heavy smelters working on some copper, iron, and iridium. As I went to sleep, Claire gave birth to a baby girl that I named Blair. I picked up the cheese charcuterie board recipe from Scarlet to start day 218, then it's over to the workbench to craft the final batch of fairy dust I needed for Sophia's quest. After a gift of starfruit and a quick chat, I became best friends with Apples the Junimo and celebrated our friendship by jumping around in the forest. After doing another little bit of exploring, I found the Bear's Cave, where I purchased a couple recipes I've been looking for before running over to Sophia's to deposit the fairy dust and complete her special request. Back at Aurora Vineyard, I watched what I can only describe as a cult initiation for Apples and Peaches that granted me an extra 10% profit on all starfruits I sell. I still need the Geocrusher crafting recipe, so I accepted Clint's Cave Patrol quest, then slapped some bass on the floor at Jody's house. I finished the day off by finishing Clint's quest and killing these mushroom sprites in the mines. Thanks to my monster killing prowess, I got the Geode Crusher recipe in the mail to start day 219, which is a Tuesday. So, you know I'm harvesting ancient fruit and making more kegs. I utilized my island warp totem for the first time, gifted the jungle gorilla with a delicious banana for a handful of golden walnuts, before checking out my perfection progress. Over at the quarry, I expanded my keg farm, started collecting all the wine, and got the kegs refilled before spending a whole bunch of time and resources at the workbench, taking a massive step to perfection by crafting close to 75 new items. To finish off the day, I decided to finally attend Marlon's meeting, where he sent me on another quest to kill 3 legendary monsters: the purple mushroom crab, the golden slime, and the diamond sand scorpion. To start day 220, Apples was at my door asking if he should restore the vineyard for me, or if he should keep it as his house. And since I really don't need another plot of land, I decided to let Apples and Peaches keep it as their home. The raccoon was asking for cherry jelly, and since I don't have a cherry tree matured, I got a sapling purchase from Pierre's and plopped it down in the greenhouse before running up to Robin's to purchase a couple of house extensions. Over at Calico Desert, I did a bit of deforestation, then made my way to Ginger Island, where I finally found a golden coconut. I spent the remainder of this day in the Highlands, unsuccessfully looking for the golden slime. Day 221 begins in the greenhouse, where the monster mushroom is finally ready for harvest. That was the last crop I needed for Lance's quest, so I checked his schedule and made my way to Ginger Island to drop off all 4 crops. Today is highlighted by the Feast of the Winter Star, so I gave Shane his favorite thing in the world, and something that you probably shouldn't give to a recovering alcoholic: some beer. My secret gifter was Vincent, and he gave me some clay that I'm sure he just found digging around town with his grubby little paws. Lance woke me up on day 222, letting me know to join him at Ginger Island at my earliest convenience. Well, it's convenient for me now, so I used the obelisk to warp over to the island, where I followed Lance to a super secret jungle warp point that took us to the final new Stardew expanded location, the Fable Reef. Unfortunately, I'm not able to visit this place on my own just yet, so I ran back to Pelican Town to crack open the golden coconut I got a few days back to reveal a golden walnut. But more importantly, I'm finally able to exchange regular coconuts for golden coconuts at the Island Trader. Over at the Highlands region, I finally found the rare golden slime monster, which has a butt-ton of HP to chew through, but I was able to dispatch the beast and collect its golden slime egg. I hand-delivered it to Marlin, then went over to Galdora, where I was also able to find and dispatch the diamond sand scorpion, which drops the magic lamp. That battle lasted so long that I passed out in the Crimson Badlands to end the day. Magnus was at my door to start day 223 to let me know I can use his warp to go to Fable Reef anytime I want. Over at Clint's, I got the fossilized skull from some golden coconuts, along with a new golden coconut hat to wear. I dropped off that magic lamp with Marlin before making my way to the Forbidden Maze to locate and eliminate the purple mushroom crab and collect the mega purple mushroom. With that last monster drop donated to Marlin, I completed his quest and took my first solo trip to Fable Reef, where I caught a new Stardew expanded fish, the torpedo trout. To finish the day off, I finished Professor Snail's island field office and collected the ostrich incubator. I had 2 visitors the morning of day 224, the final day of year 2. Isaac let me know that he had a reward waiting at the Galderan outpost, and then Lance stopped by explaining he also had a reward for me at the Highlands. While I was relaxing at my farm spot, I got the +3 fishing buff, which is begging me to go to Fable Reef, pop a seafoam pudding, and start fishing up some new fish. This morning, I caught the arrowhead shark, the viper eel, and the daggerfish, before running over to the Galderan outpost to collect my rewards. The monster splitter greatsword and the heavy shield, both of which have some crazy stats. Over at the Highlands, I collected Lance's reward, the diamond wand, which in my opinion isn't as cool as the monster splitter since this thing does almost 1,300 damage on a critical hit. I spent the remainder of this final day of winter fishing at the Fable Reef before going to bed, where Grandpa visited my dreams thanking me for taking care of his farm. The first day of spring and the first day of year 3 begins as Grandpa's 4 candles light up to start day 225. I spent the morning preparing the crop field by tilling out all the spaces that I'll be planting seeds in, then ran into Emily and Sandy hanging out at the town square. I grabbed a bunch of seeds from Pierre's, accepted Evelyn's gifts for George's special request, then got all of those newly purchased seeds sown and watered. That evening, Krobus stopped by to invite me to a meeting of the minds in the sewers, and then I finished the day by making progress towards the shipping list. Day 226 begins with Claire and I making plans to take a nice long walk this weekend, before I checked on my shipping list progress, which is definitely not where I want it to be. So I spent the morning shipping off a bunch of hoarded items, then popped over to Ginger Island to harvest some ancient fruit. I enjoyed a moment of peace with Linus at the mountain lake, then completed my weekly Tuesday goal of collecting wine and kegging ancient fruit. Over at Cindersap Forest, I got the Spring Onion Mastery perk thanks to Vincent and Jas, then paid a visit to Scarlet and Andy at Fairhaven Farm. I made my way deeper into the forest and collected some leeks for George, then went over to the Highlands, where these large slimes drop even more leeks. I very creepily listened to Alex pump iron for a couple of seconds, dropped off all of those leeks for Evelyn, and then went down to the sewers where I was tasked to collect 60 void souls for the Shadow People. Magnus woke me up on day 227 to let me know he is starting a mentorship program with a young wizard named Morgan, who I'll get to meet tomorrow. More importantly though, Evelyn sent me a coffee maker in the mail to thank me for completing her request. I have 5 dozen void souls to collect, so I took a trip to Galdora to get started on that, and then I spent the evening unsuccessfully trying to catch the last fish I needed to complete the collection. I took a quick dip in my farm spot to start day 228, and the +3 fishing buff begged me to head over to the Fable Reef again. Combined with a dish of the sea, my fishing level being at 15 gave me just enough of a reel-in zone to catch this legendary fish, the turret fish, the final fish I needed to get the Master Angler achievement. I took a lunch break with the goblin in the Forbidden Maze, warped over to the Volcano Dungeon to collect some Cinder Shards, and attempted to get the Artful enchantment on my Greatsword, but looks like I'll have to try again. Over at Magnus's Tower, I introduced myself to the 48th and final giftable character in Stardew Expanded, Morgan, the wizard in training who, funnily enough, will accept gifts while he's sleeping. The morning of day 229 is spent with Claire as we take a lovely stroll through all the nooks and crannies of Pelican Town. I started the day in earnest at the mailbox by consuming a star drop from Willy for catching every single fish in the game. That was the 7th and final star drop, so now I have officially reached maximum stamina. I met back up with the goblin this afternoon where he gave me a step-by-step guide on how to craft a marsh tonic. Back on the farm, I harvested some ripe garlic cloves, then started placing ingredients in the fridge for my massive cooking session that's coming up soon. I finally got the ostrich incubator crafted and populated in the barn, then ran down to the traveling trader to purchase the Claire portrait. Over at Pierre's, I grabbed all the sugar, flour, oil, rice, and vinegar I'll need for every single recipe, then crafted and plopped down some butter makers in the machine section. I finished the day off by making my way over to Pondwood to assist Scarlet in her cosplay costume construction. Day 230 begins by collecting some periwinkles and crayfish from the crab pots on the farm, emptying the tappers of all their resources, then warping over to Ginger Island to slap some hyper seed grow on some crops that I need for recipes and the polyculture achievement. I spent the remainder of this very short day fishing at the Secret Woods, catching a bunch of carp for more recipes. My potatoes are ready for harvest to start day 231, so I get those scythed down before running up to the summit to collect the Ferngill Primrose. I repopulated my crop field with mixed seeds, grabbed some mead from the traveling merchant, then spent the remainder of another short day fishing with magic bait trying to catch a squid, to no avail. I got some carrots collected the morning of day 232, which was mostly another fishing day, where I used more magic bait to catch a rainbow trout, a salmon, and a sea cucumber, all of which will be utilized for recipes. While doing some panning at the mountain lake, I collected another lucky ring, then finished the day up by fishing up a frog. Day 233 is a Tuesday, so after I collected some parsnips, I created a dozen kegs and spent most of the day collecting and fermenting ancient fruit wine. The only real highlight from another short day was becoming best friends with Scarlet, leaving only Martin, the goblin henchman, and Morgan to befriend. Speaking of Scarlet, Sophia woke me up on day 234 to let me know that the aforementioned farmhand is bringing down her dad's truck to do a day trip to the Grampleton coast. So I went down to the ocean and finally managed to catch that squid, watched Morgan do a spot-on impression of Magnus, then made my way to the Blue Moon Vineyard. Sophia, Scarlet, and I jumped in the truck and took the highway to the Grampleton coast and enjoyed the view from the lighthouse. Over at Ginger Island, I got some tomatoes planted and fertilized with Speed Grow before planting some fall forgeable seeds to get more blackberries for some recipes. I finished the day off in the Crimson Badlands, collecting void souls for Crocus. Sophia woke me up for the second day in a row on day 235, this time thanking me for her fairy garden. My reward for completing that request is the ability to purchase iridium sprinklers and nozzles from her ledger. This morning, Morgan sent me some mail containing the final recipe I needed to complete my book, the glazed pear. I got the day started by collecting some green beans in the crop field before making another large donation to the shipping bin for the polyculture achievement. Over at Pierre's, I grabbed all the seeds needed to finish off that achievement, then ran up to Robin's to purchase the premium barn. I warped over to Ginger Island to get all those crop seeds planted, grabbed some rhubarb seeds from Sandy at the Oasis, and did some wood collection while I was at the Calico Desert. I finished the day off in the crop field getting those 15 rhubarb seeds planted. Day 236 begins in the red-tinged Crimson Badlands collecting void souls. Today is pretty short though, as I spent the entirety of it in the Skull Caverns doing an unremarkable mining session, just looking for copper, iron, and iridium for more kegs. The Egg Festival headlines day 237, so I spent the morning harvesting some cauliflower, doing my daily void soul collecting, then ran down to the town square to purchase some strawberry seeds and take another L in the egg hunt competition, courtesy of Abigail. Day 238 is another day that begins in Galdora collecting void souls for Krobus, before picking up Pierre's Prime Produce special request. I warped over to Ginger Island to collect some salal berries, red cabbage, and pumpkins to find a golden walnut, the 130th and final one according to the Perfection Tracker. Back at Pelican Town, I got some cheese fermenting, then made my way to the kitchen to start cooking up half a dozen prerequisite recipes that got me the Cook achievement. Utilizing some fairy dust, I collected a little bit of mystic syrup and truffle oil so that I could craft the treasure totem and rain totem. Then ended the day by shipping off some stuff to progress the shipping list. A couple of mixed seeds revealed some harvestable potatoes to start off day 239. I checked in on the goblin in the Forbidden Maze, who seems to be doing a better job coping with his unemployment, but I was really here to look for the rare purple mushroom crab, but he was too sneaky for me to find today. The Calico Desert Festival was in session, so I let Emily give me a makeover, selected the Deep Dive quest, and got into the Skull Cavern, where I spent the remainder of the day completing that request and finding calico eggs. Another Tuesday means day 240 is spent collecting more ancient fruit wine, where I accidentally shook a bush revealing salmon berries. This was a stroke of tremendous luck, since I didn't know today was a salmonberry day, and I needed a bunch of them for the shipping list and recipes. I got some ancient fruit harvested in the greenhouse, and then made my way to a rainy ginger island to collect some ripe crops for the polyculture achievement, along with some fall forageables. Back in Pelican Town, I crafted some kegs and got them filled up with fresh fruit before running over to Marnie's to purchase some new animals for my newly constructed premium barn. I adopted 2 bears named Care and Share, and 2 camels named Samuel and Pamuel. I finished the day off in the Crimson Badlands, collecting more void souls. I woke up on day 241 to the Legend achievement for making 10 million G. In the crop field, I side down a couple of green beans and cucumbers, then was alerted to the fact that my ostrich egg wouldn't hatch in the deluxe barn. So I re-incubated in the premium barn, then went over to Pierre's to drop off 25 gold quality parsnips. Emily gave me a fisherman fit for the final day of the Desert Festival, where I once again spent the entire day mining to get enough calico eggs to purchase the magic rock candy to end the day. As a reward for making 10 million G, Mr. Key sent me a commemorative golden piggy bank on day 242. A bunch of mixed flower seeds have revealed some blue jazzes ready for harvest, before doing another round of void soul collecting in Galdora, which I'm proud to say got me the 60 I needed. I warped over to Ginger Island to collect another round of tomatoes and red cabbages that subsequently got dumped into the shipping bin. Then it's down to the sewers, where 𝐕𝐝𝐵 finally got his 60 void souls. I crafted the hero elixir and marsh tonic at the workbench, then got another silo purchased up at Robin's. I populated a newly crafted loom machine with some camel wool, then ended the day by doing some iron ore farming in the mines. Some mixed cauliflower seeds are ready for plucking on day 243, and some cheese and yarn are ready for collection as well. Over at Ginger Island, I got more tomatoes harvested for recipes, then got a start on my afternoon by playing some hide and seek with Morgan, Vincent, and Jazz. The Traveling Merchant has the Junimo and Retro catalogs in stock, so I got those purchased before heading back to the Crimson Badlands to collect void souls for the other elixir recipes, along with utilizing some bombs to grab a Stardew expanded shipping list item that only drops from fallen adventurers, the Rusty Blade. I spent that evening running around various Stardew expanded locations picking up rare forageables to sell, and ending the day in the Forbidden Maze where I still couldn't locate that rare purple mushroom crab. After doing all the shipping over the last couple days, I've only got 14 more items to sell on day 244, and 3 of those items require the purchase of a premium coop. Over in the Highlands, I found 2 more shipping list items. The first is a monster drop by an exclusively rainy day green mushroom found at the ruins, and the second is the golden slime egg from the ever-elusive golden slime mini-boss. Back in the Forbidden Maze, I finally found the purple mushroom crab, and was able to dispatch him to grab another rare shipping list item. Just as I was about to go to bed, 𝐕𝐝𝐵 arrived at my house to invite me over to the mines to see what all those void souls will be used for, but that's an adventure for another day. Some ripe strawberries are ready for scything down on day 245. Over at Ginger Island, I plucked up some fall forageables and corn, then went back to the workbench to craft the haste elixir and the armor elixir, before running up to the mines to watch all those void souls I collected be consumed by a shadow shaman to rescue a bunch of young shadow people. To thank me for my efforts, these shadow mobs throughout the valley will no longer attack me. While I was at the mines, I decided to just end the day by doing some iron ore farming. To start off day 246, I collected some green tea leaves and got that brewing before using all that iron I got last night to craft the anvil. I witnessed Pierre trying to exploit the local townspeople, picked up Willie's tropical fish quest, and spent the remainder of the day catching stingray at the Pirates Cove and blue discus right next to my island house. As an apology for being a total dick to the townspeople, Pierre sent me a mini shipping bin on day 247, which is a Tuesday, so you know what that means. I'm harvesting ancient fruit and crafting kegs. On my way to the quarry, I became best friends with Martin, the local orphan boy, then finally made it to the keg farm to get some wine collected and ancient fruit deposited. To finish the day off, my new ostrich friend Oscar was welcomed to the family. I got a bunch of rhubarb ready for harvest on day 248, and in the greenhouse, my cherry tree has finally borne fruit. As today was the flower festival, I did a little dance with Claire in the cindersap forest, then finished off a short festival day by getting some apricots dehydrating and that cherry crop turned into jelly. One final crop of strawberries are sized down to start day 249. I watched Morgan get peer pressured by Vincent and Jas to do some magic in the cindersap forest, then went down to Marnie's to purchase a new animal now that my premium barn is built, the goose. I adopted 3 geese named Honk, Bonk, and Wonk before running over to Ginger Island to harvest more blackberries. I picked up the dried apricot and replaced them with some grapes, then started my massive cooking session, starting with 15 recipes to get the sous chef achievement, and then cooking almost 80 more recipes to take a massive step towards the gourmet chef achievement. 2 of the last 3 ingredients I needed were some shrimp and a midnight carp. So I got a bunch of crab pots equipped with bait in the ocean, and then used some magic bait to catch that carp at the Cindersap Lake. With that, I ended the day by creating the sea foam pudding recipe, marking 105 of the 107 recipes complete. On day 250, I collected and sold off a cherry for the shipping list, went down to the beach to collect the shrimp I needed, and then went over to Ginger Island. I completed Willie's tropical fish request by catching the lionfish, harvested and sold off some red cabbage, then went back home and cooked up the shrimp cocktail recipe. Over at Sophia's, I picked up 3 pressure nozzles, warped back to Ginger Island to pick up 8 more in Key's walnut room, and then utilized those to add some more space for ancient fruit at the shed greenhouse. Those red cabbages I sold yesterday got me the polyculture achievement to kick off day 251. Willie sent me the deluxe fish tank in the mail, then I completed another raccoon bundle and got the raccoon journal, which increases the likelihood of me getting mixed seeds from weeds. But more importantly, this book got me the well-read achievement. I decided that today was going to be spent reorganizing my farmland by retrofitting the sprinklers with pressure nozzles, expanding the watering radius to 48 crops each. I picked up where I left off on day 252 in the last day of spring in the greenhouse, further optimizing my ancient fruit growth with pressure nozzles, before stopping by Magnus's tower to read with Morgan. I spent the remainder of the day on Ginger Island, reorganizing the crop field over here since it's definitely not optimized. Day 253, the first day of summer in year 3, begins on Ginger Island, collecting monster mushrooms for the shipping list and reorganizing the weathered floor pathing. Back in Pelican Town, I got some summer seeds purchased at Pierre's, scythed down all of the dead spring plants, and got those seeds sown before finishing the day back on Ginger Island harvesting some ripe taro root. Another kegging Tuesday arrives on day 254, so I spent the morning collecting oak resin, harvesting ancient fruit in the greenhouse, and getting all the kegs fermenting, while simultaneously collecting the lucrative ancient fruit wine. I finally finished reorganizing my sprinklers on Ginger Island, so I spent the evening putting down some weathered flooring before going home, where my blissful sleep was interrupted by the goblin henchman asking me to come visit him tomorrow. Back at Ginger Island, I spent the morning of day 255 planting some pineapple seeds and enjoying my newly optimized ancient fruit farm, before running over to the Secret Woods, where I finally managed to unearth the ancient fern seed. I got that planted with some hyperspeed grow ASAP, since the ancient fiber was one of the few things missing from my shipping list. I made my way to the Forbidden Maze and followed the henchman as he clipped through my chest full of void mayonnaise to find his tribute to his former employer, a little section behind his house with 5 shrines that do various interesting things throughout the valley or give me some valuable items. I didn't have much else to do today, so I spent the remainder of the day down in the Skull Caverns looking for coal, copper, and iron. I found Claire at the mailbox early in the morning on day 256, where she received a letter that she has been cast as the lead in a film. Good job, Claire. Proud of you. That morning, I picked up my first round of goose eggs in the premium barn, before running over to the Calico Desert to exchange some rubies for spicy eel to use as speed boosts. Over at the Volcano Dungeon, I found the final journal scrap, finishing the Secret Notes tab, before running up to the Forge to combine my greatsword with a bunch of emeralds and a prismatic shard to finally get the Artful Enchantment to end the day. The traveling trader had the 𝐿𝐥𝐥𝐿 catalog in stock, so I picked that up to start day 257. I had some leftover oak resin laying around, so I made 15 more kegs and got my wine farm expanded in the quarry before running over to Pierre's to purchase a bunch of deluxe speed grow for all the replanted ancient fruit on the Ginger Island farm. To 100% the expanded mod, it is absolutely necessary that I purchase and fill up the winery, and for that I'm going to need a lot of wood and a lot of kegs. So I spent the rest of the day in the Calico Desert chopping down a whole litany of pine trees and replacing the space with oak seeds that will get tapped once they're mature. I'm back in Calico Desert to start day 258, exchanging diamonds for a bunch of triple shot espressos, activating the Shrine of Challenge, then spending the entire day looking for prismatic shards to do more tool enchants. I managed to find a couple of the rainbow mineral miracles, and even made it all the way down to floor 100 without using staircases. I kicked off day 259 by getting some copper and iron ore refining in the heavy smelters, before utilizing my personal forge on the farm to get the generous perk on my iridium pan. I've collected a lot of golden animal crackers that I've gone unused, so I got those fed to my geese, then ran over to the raccoon to complete another one of his bundles. I got a hat as a reward, so I changed my fit up a little bit, and finally got myself a dresser from one of the mini catalogs I have now, and got all my clothes, hats, and rings put inside. Following up on my word to use the basement this time around, I crafted some casks and made a solid chunk of progress getting the basement turned into a wine aging room. I finished the day off in Calico Desert, making another tree farm since I'm definitely going to need more wood. Day 260 begins by running over to the premium barn and welcoming an ostrich named Joseph to the family. Over in the secret woods, I collected the last ingredient needed to complete the cooking list, red bane berries. With those berries in my pocket, I ran straight to the kitchen to whip up some mushroom berry rice, and grabbed myself the Gourmet Chef achievement by cooking up all 107 recipes. I went over to my workbench to craft the final cask I needed to fill out the basement, before making my way to Marnie's to purchase 6 more geese named Plonk, Clonk, Zonk, Conk, Kronk, and Flonk. I got Lewis's crop order special request accepted, grabbed a bunch of deluxe speed grow at Pierre's, and fertilized all my blueberries with it so I could finish Lewis's request in double time, before finishing the day in the hard mode skull caverns, collecting a bunch of ore. On Tuesdays, we make money, and day 261 is no different from any other Tuesday, as I'm harvesting ancient fruit, crafting kegs, and getting them filled up. The only added variable this time is getting 110 bottles of wine aging in some casks in the basement. Over in Calico Desert, I got some tree fertilizer on all the budding oak trees, before spending the rest of the day in the hard mode skull caverns collecting more ore. 144 red cabbages are ready to harvest on day 262. I then went over to Pierre's and purchased some melon seeds to replace those freshly harvested cabbages, and then finished this short day by doing another hard mode skull cavern dive. I collected a couple of golden animal crackers yesterday, so I spent the morning of day 263 feeding them to my geese, before harvesting and selling off the ancient fiber. Now that I have a lot of time on my hands, farm beautification is becoming a priority. Starting by making a flower honey row at the machine section with some garden pots and some deluxe retaining soil, and then it's over to the Stardew luau. My donation to this soup this year was an iridium truffle, which the mayor and town folks went crazy for. My blueberries have ripened to start day 264, so I got them harvested and shipped off to complete Lewis's special request, before warping over to the desert to slap a couple of tappers on some newly matured oak trees. While I was here, I collected a whole bunch of lumber by chopping down some pine trees, and then went over to the mines, where I refreshed floor 15 over and over to farm earth crystals, an imperative ingredient for mayonnaise makers, of which I need only one more to finish my collection. Lewis sent me another mini shipping bin to start off day 265 for completing his request, before I got all these ripe melons side down. I got the replacement seeds purchased at Pierre's, stopped by Magnus's tower to watch Morgan transmute some iron into gold, and then finally became best friends with the goblin henchman in the Forbidden Maze. I got all those melon seeds replanted in the fresh soil, collected the final earth crystal I needed from the Duggies, then crafted and placed down the final mayo maker in the machine section. To put a cap on the day, I went over to the volcano forge and finally got the shaving enchantment on my iridium axe. The green rain reared its ugly head on day 266, so I spent the morning clearing my farmland of all the mossy weeds. One thing that I felt I had to do to 100% Stardew Expanded was get as deep in the dangerous skull caverns as I possibly could. So I made my way to the Desert Trader and bought 335 staircases to use on a great luck day in the future as I prepared to make my mega dive. I got a bunch of newly matured oak trees tapped before doing another skull cavern run, where I found myself an auto petter, which I don't need anymore. I began day 267 at the farm forge, grabbing the archaeologist enchantment for my iridium hoe. I got a whole litany of ore cooking in the heavy smelters, accepted Olivia's elegant reception special request, and made some good progress on that request by donating some hoarded cheese. Over at the Blue Moon Vineyard, I purchased some aged Blue Moon wine for my Mega Skull Cavern dive, and picked up the Infinity Crown at the Mouse House to change up my fit a little bit. The rest of the day was spent in Cindersap Forest, chopping down trees and collecting lumber. Another round of blueberries are ready for scything down to start day 268, another Tuesday. So I'm collecting some oak resin, crafting some kegs, and harvesting some ancient fruit, before dropping by Olivia's to complete her special request. I got all my fruit fermenting in kegs, and ran over to Calico Desert to do a quick cavern dive to end the day. Day 269 was the perfect day for my mega cavern dive. So I warped over to the desert, consumed the aged Blue Moon wine and a delicious rock candy, and used every last staircase, which took about 6 hours to get through, to get 330 floors deep. I spent the remaining 10 in-game hours getting down another 75 floors, culminating in my deepest ever dive into Skull Caverns, 411 floors. Not including the guaranteed treasure floors on floor 100, 200, and 300, I got close to 24 treasure floors and had a pretty decent haul to end the day. Another ostrich friend was welcomed to the farm on day 270, and I named him Patrick. Over at the town square, Olivia's wine and cheese banquet is going over gangbusters with the townsfolk, and my reward is increased health and stamina regen when drinking wine. The last shipping list item I need is a golden goose egg, of which there is a 1% chance of getting every time an egg is produced. So to increase my odds, I bought 7 more geese. I named these 7 geese Shock, Rock, Sock, Bok, Chonk, Tonk, and Kadonk. I also fed them some golden animal crackers to further increase my odds, and spent the rest of the day in the Skull Cavern searching for more crackers. On day 271, I collected my first batch of flower-flavored honey, and then decided to make the leap and sell off a bunch of hoarded goods, including ancient fruit, honey jars, camel wool, and various other produce. Over at the Traveling Merchant, I finally became best friends with Magnus's pupil, Morgan, officially completing a massive portion of the perfection requirements by reaching max affection with all 48 giftable NPCs. To finish the day off, I crafted a bunch of garden pots, stopped by Pierre's to get some fairy seeds, and got both of those placed down and fertilized with hyperspeed grow in the greenhouse. As I slept, over 2 million G flooded into my account. I needed that 2 million G so that I had 10 million in my account on day 272, where Morgan knocked on my door that morning to invite me to his final wizard test. I got some blueberries side down in the crop field, then got a super special area of the farm prepared for the largest purchase you can make in the game, the infamous golden clock. I decided to move my greenhouse further west and spent the entire day doing some pathing with weathered floors, finishing a raccoon bundle by donating some pickled squash, and then finishing the day by adding some fencing now that the golden clock ensures they won't deteriorate. Day 273 begins deep in the Cindersap Forest, where Morgan shows off his deep connection to nature and passes his test. My support for his growth as a wizard resulted in an increase in quality for my animal produce. The rest of the day was spent doing some farm beautification. I colored all of the farm buildings at Robbins, added even more fences to my paths, and altered the design of my golden clock shrine before bed. I got a penultimate harvest of melons collected the morning of day 274, before running over to the town square to accept Demetrius's aquatic overpopulation request. I greeted Claire as she arrived back in town from a day of filming, then ran down to collect the various statues you can find behind the community center and Lewis's house respectively. To finish the day off, I got all the neat statues I've collected placed next to my golden clock. Day 275 was your typical kegging Tuesday. I collected ancient fruit in the shed greenhouse, grabbed a bunch of oak resin in the desert, crafted as many kegs as humanly possible, and finally finished my quarry keg farm that can produce well over 350 bottles of ancient fruit wine. I purchased a bunch of wheat seeds over at Pierre's and got them planted to make sure my sprinklers water the area on the first day of fall. And to finish the day off, I crafted a couple of mini obelisks to make days like today more time efficient. I spent the morning of day 276 relocating my workbench area east of the fish ponds, right behind the farmhouse. Pro tip, if you place some grass starter, then chuck an iron fence on top of it, the grass will still spread, and this original piece can't be eaten by animals. Over at Jody's house, I finished the day off by placing a strange bun in Vincent's toy box and got the Frogomon statue. A final round of melons are ready to harvest on day 277, and then it's off to the beach, where I utilized some challenge bait to catch all the tilapia needed to complete Demetrius' special request. I purchased some more wheat seeds at Pierre's, went over to Robin's to purchase a couple more house expansions, and then got hers to start working on the slime hutch. Yet another ostrich hatched this afternoon, and I named him Big Bird, before finishing the day off by planting those wheat seeds and beginning down the long road of decorating the farmhouse, starting with this wizard lair. The morning of a rainy day 278 was spent pathing out a section of the farm where the winery is going to be built, before going to Calico Desert. I chopped down a whole bunch of trees and spent the remainder of the day in Skull Cavern, killing mobs and mining ore. It looks like Robin completed my slime hutch as Marlin woke me up on day 279 to tell me all about his misfortunes with slime ranching. That morning, I got 20 more kegs crafted at the workbench, got the interior of the slime ranch set up, then ran down to the raccoon house to see what the next bundle has in store for me. The rusty spoon was easy to get with all these artifact troves I've been collecting, and the trash is really prevalent down at floor 100 in the mines. With those items in tow, I got the bundle completed, before taking some deck mayonnaise to Gus's saloon to unveil the Pinky Lemon statue. The last thing I did today was retrofit the attic to be a cozy little reading nook. Day 280, the last day of summer of year 3, begins by harvesting a final crop of blueberries, then running up to Robin's to spend 1 million G, 50 kegs, 30 iridium bars, and 200 hardwood on the winery. Shout out to 𝐻𝐼 the Goat in my YouTube comments for letting me know that the hatch to get to the wizard's basement is here, and I can use it in combination with the Faraway Stone to open a portal and receive the legendary 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐼 sword, courtesy of a cute cat. Back on the farm, I used the forge to change the appearance of my monster splitter to resemble Penny's Friar. I then went over to Ginger Island to exchange 20 radioactive bars for 2 galaxy souls from the island trader, and grabbed another from Key's Walnut Room, before heading back to Pelican Town to enjoy the Dance of the Moonlight Jellies with all my best friends. I kicked off day 281, the first day of autumn, by clearing out all the dead summer stalks, buying up 432 various fall seeds at Pierre's, and getting them all planted surrounding my pressure nozzle enhanced iridium sprinklers. And then this finally happened. Come on, island ingredients! Let's go! Come on! Let's go! It's about damn time! As you can tell by my reaction, I was pretty ecstatic to get the island ingredients request accepted. So I hightailed it to Ginger Island, where I essentially lived for the next couple days, foraging for ginger, killing every tiger slime I could find, and doing volcano dungeon runs, just trying to squeeze every last second of farming ginger to complete this quest. Even on day 282, which was an ancient fruit harvesting and kegging day, I still found the time to dig up some ginger and utilize the galaxy souls to create the Infinity Blade, which of course gets a little transmog to look like the 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐼. Over at the slime hutch, my little gelatinous buddies are happy to get some new friends before I ran over to the quarry to collect and keg some ancient fruit wine to end the day. The next couple days are pretty quick. Day 283 was spent collecting ginger at the dig site, mining out a couple of cinder shards while doing a volcano dungeon run, and attaching some rubies to my Infinity 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐼. Day 284 is also entirely committed to Ginger Island activities. I did some more ginger harvesting, tiger slime slaying in the volcano dungeon, where I found the Phoenix ring in one of these rare treasure chests, and finished the day off by successfully enchanting a Crusader Infinity 𝐕𝐢𝐝𝐼. Days 285 and 86 are essentially identical. I started both days by making some monster musk, then running over to Ginger Island to till up any obvious ginger. I then utilized my monster musk and did complete volcano dungeon runs, making sure to open up any treasure chests and kill every single tiger slime I could find. The only difference between the days is that Claire asked me if I wanted to have a second child the evening of day 286, which is a resounding yes. The morning of day 287, I found the 100th ginger I needed. I did myself a little dance and dug it up to complete the request, then ran back to Pelican Town to utilize some fairy dust and create some wild plum jelly to complete yet another raccoon bundle. That evening was spent chopping down trees in the deep Cindersap forest so that I could create a ludicrous amount of kegs that all got populated in my newly completed winery. The morning of day 288, I got 2 amazing letters. The first was an invite to the premiere of Claire's movie, and the second contained the blueprints to the solar panel, the final recipe I needed to create to get the Craft Master achievement. I harvested a fresh crop of cranberries, then spent the entire day in the Skull Caverns, utilizing my Crusader Infinity Meowmere to easily dispatch these mummies and reveal a Galaxy Soul to boot. Day 289 is yet another Tuesday, so I start the day at Ginger Island collecting ancient fruit. I warped over to Calico Desert to empty out all the oak tree tappers, and then kegged all the fruit in the winery. That evening was spent watching my wife make her silver screen debut and enjoying as the townspeople raved over her incandescent talent. Unfortunately for me, day 290 is not the day I got the golden goose egg, but it is the day I was able to purchase the return scepter from Krobus for 2 million G. While I was splashing the cash, I bought the furniture catalog from Robin and the regular catalog from Pierre, and did some house decorations. Side note, this won't be the final location of my bedroom, I just spent way too much time making it to not show you. I decided on day 291 to remove this giant patch of cranberries and run over to Magnus's tower and purchase a Junimo hut in its place. The rest of the day was spent doing a Skull Caverns run, where this large slime on floor 22 dropped 2 Galaxy Souls, and this serpent on floor 42 dropped another one. The morning of day 292, I did my first round of slime zit popping, then stopped by the winery to finish filling up the building with kegs. Since I got those 3 Galaxy Souls yesterday, the game was just begging me to buy the Galaxy Dagger from Gil and create the Infinity Dagger at the Farm Forge. I spent the evening running around the farm, throwing torches on fences, and put a cap on the day by decorating the sitting room in the farmhouse. The golden goose egg eludes me once again on day 293, so I take my frustrations out on the trees in the Calico Desert. I grabbed a whole bunch of pumpkin seeds from Pierre's, harvested the blooming fairy seeds on the farm, and got the fresh soil sown with pumpkins before ending the day by adding some finishing touches to the sitting room and wizard lair. My first crop of pumpkins are ready to be scythed down to start day 294, and the raccoons have yet another bundle for me to complete. I got even more pumpkin seeds thrown down, populated some crab pots with deluxe bait to get some snails, and then utilized some magic bait to catch myself the midnight carp. Down at the ocean, I fished up a super cucumber and confirmed the existence of Bigfoot near the library before exchanging the super cucumber for the HMTGF statue just north of the community center. I kicked off day 295 by getting another round of bait thrown into the crab pots, then ran over to the goose coop where the golden goose egg finally graced my presence. Let's go! As you can tell, I was very excited. I got that golden little morsel chucked into the shipping bin and finished the day off by decorating my kitchen/dining room. Thanks to that golden goose egg, I woke up on day 296 with the full shipment achievement, marking confirmation I've sold all 204 items and filling up the shipping tab. Another Tuesday means another morning spent harvesting ancient fruit and getting them all shoved into kegs, which I had to do very quickly because today is the annual Stardew Harvest Festival. So I got the rarest items I've collected put on display and took home the first place prize once again. This year, I successfully gambled my way all the way up to the max of 9,999 stars and picked up the second furniture catalog to end the day. The morning of day 297, I got the message from the heavens that Grandpa is extra special proud of my achievements, followed by the distant rumblings of the non-existent boulder being removed from the summit. But before I go back up there, there's a couple more things I want to do, starting with finishing another raccoon bundle. Up at Rabbin's, I happily donated the money and wood to get Pam and Penny a house, picked up the statue of Perfection underneath the farm waterfall, then ran over to Key's Walnut Room to grab the statue of True Perfection and confirm I got 100% on the Perfection tracker. I finished the day off by placing those statues down and officially completing my 100% shrine. The morning of day 298, I harvested some ripe cranberries and utilized some magic bait to catch a walleye that was requested by this trash bear near the sewer grate. After devouring the fish, he requested a wild plum, which was easy enough to get, but this bear seems to be insatiable. Now he wants a radish salad, so I went home and grabbed one from the fridge, but apparently just one's not enough, he needs another one. So I warped over to a rainy Ginger Island to get a radish planted with some hyper speed grow, before finishing the day by creating a bathroom in my farmhouse. Since the bathroom is on the northeast side of the house, I moved my bedroom over to start day 299. I spent the entirety of this day decorating, starting with this little hangout/camping spot outside next to the winery. I then went inside to create this jam/gaming nook where the bedroom was previously, and tucked myself into bed, where Claire gave birth to our second child, a boy named Zach that got me the full house achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally made it to day 300, and I begin the day by putting a space helmet on Blair and a red fez on Brownie the horse. Robin finally finished the house for Pam and Penny, so I watched the joy on their faces as they received the gift, then ran up to Robin's to get her started on the shortcut community upgrade. That afternoon, I did some more decorating by creating a nice relaxing fish tank area, then finished the house by making this cool little sewing section just off the bedroom. With all that stuff done, it was finally time to make my way up to the summit, where I collected the perfection achievement and joined Claire as we breathed in the cool, crisp autumn air at the end of a perfect day 300. With all that being said though, I still have a couple things I need to do to 100% the game, so I think it's the perfect time for an epilogue. The epilogue picks up right where I left off on day 300. I made my way to Marty's ranch and purchased the pet license for the purple-shelled turtle named Chortle, a golden chicken egg, and another license for a dog that I named Skip. On day 301, I did a bit of decoration in this small portion of the farm to look like a little sleeping Junimo location. And then on day 303, I crafted the second radish salad for the trash bear to consume. He was so happy with the meals that he cleaned up the trash near the ocean and gave Dusty a nice, delicious steak. On day 304, the raccoon had a bundle requiring snow yam juice and pickled winter root, so I utilized some fairy dust in the kegs and the preserves jar to create those two items and complete the bundle. The other thing that happened today was this. Let's go! Let's go! Woohoo! We did it, boys! 50,000! 50,000! I'm gonna unpause, let's go! 50,000! Huge! I don't even know what I'm doing! I don't give a f***! 51,000, baby! Look at it! Look at it! F*** you, Lewis! F*** you, Junimo Cart! Holy sh**! I don't care. I know some people got 500,000 in this game. I don't give a f***. F*** this game. Listen, Concerned Ape, you made a brilliant game in Stardew Valley. Absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10. But f*** you on this one. This game is f***ing hell. Woo! So yeah, I got the high score on the endless mode in Junimo Kart. Something I couldn't say I 100%ed the game without completing, given how much of a headache it gave me earlier. On day 308, I cleared out the community garden location so the various townfolk didn't have to look at the ugly debris anymore. And then on day 309, my large shed was finished by Robin, which I decided that this would become a green tea house. So I populated it with a whole bunch of gardening pots. On day 311, I purchased a couple of watering bowls for Chortle and Skip, before checking on the raccoons who have another bundle for me. I got the crystal fruits dehydrated and the cactus fruit jellied with the help of some fairy dust, and donated the items to the raccoons to finish the bundle. To finish the day off, I purchased and placed down a couple more dog houses for Chortle and Skip to sleep in if they feel so inclined. On day 317, my ancient fruit wine I started aging all the way back on day 269 was finally at iridium quality, so I officially utilized my basement and the casks. On day 318, I got the Good Neighbors achievement, signaling that the raccoon family is at full capacity, and I have officially collected every in-game achievement. And to finish off this 100% playthrough on day 319, I ran over to Marty's to get the Cheese Mastery buff, before making my way up to Susan's to grab the Crafting Mastery buff, filling out the Special Items and Powers tab. Thank you so much for watching my video and the entirety of the Stardew Expanded series. I had so much fun playing Stardew Expanded and editing this series that the entire experience really flew by. Even if you've perfected Vanilla Stardew Valley, I highly recommend downloading the expanded mod because it's basically a brand new game. If you made it this far in the video, I want to personally thank you again for watching. If you want to see more Stardew Valley content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and enable notifications, along with putting your little clicker on that thumbs up button and driving a hammer into your mouse. Both of those things let me know that you want to see more Stardew Valley. Also, if you could leave a comment asking me a question, that would be great. The channel just hit 35k subscribers, and I love to make a video answering all of your questions. If you want to get more involved in my community, you should follow me on Blue Sky and Twitch for pictures of my cats and live streams respectively. Those links are in the description. You'll also find a link to my personal Discord server in the description as well. There's over 500 people in there who love Stardew Valley, Pokemon, and all kinds of stuff, so you should join and be a part of it. So with all that being said, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope I'll see you in my next one.